I watched as a little girl a lot of the conditions for the grown-up women in Ireland, and I wasn't having it.
The creation of Irish rock is a 40-year story. Ireland had a guitar hero.
It was just very rock and roll, but it was very much him.
I am your main man.
And one of the few black rock stars.
And the most bizarre thing, he managed Leslie Crowther's door, which was weird. I used to watch Cracker Jack.
John Peel's favourite band.
They were great. How could you not like Undertones?
A big mouth.
I just thought, finally the Paddies did it, you know.
The rare sighting of a female rock star. And finally, the biggest band in the world.
We had to work hard because we were absolutely the worst band ever.
This is the story of the pioneers of Irish rock. How they forged an international presence and helped change Ireland along the way.
Van, I see, is a priest. You know, he's always he's a searcher. All his records, he's been on a search for God. I call them sky rippers. And if there's somebody who unzipped the sky, you look through, you know that there are other worlds and there are other things going on. You know? And they're able to access something perhaps psychically that other artists don't. He was the first Irish artist, I think, that shone a light on the fact that there is a path one can take towards healing. And one could argue that perhaps he hasn't got there, but what's important was that he showed that there is a path that the rest of us could take. Bob was the first person who actually ever came along and sang in an Irish accent but made it punky and cool, you know, and that was terribly important actually, because whether he meant to or not, he gave us a sense of that it was okay to be Irish, because it really wasn't okay to be Irish, you know.
I picked her up at the bar that night. What did you do? I took her home, she didn't put up a fight. What did you do? She was
and they were angry, and it was okay to be angry. Anger is still an emotion in Ireland that's looked on as being terribly not okay, and especially if you're a girl, you know. But Bob was angry, and that was good, you know.
But there was one missing piece to the Irish rock jigsaw. Sinead O'Connor used rock to confront male domination in Ireland and in rock music itself.
We didn't have a voice, we didn't have independence. For me as a young girl, I noticed very, very early that it was important to become financially independent as quickly as possible. My granny had drilled it into me at a very young age never to reveal my cash stash to any male relative, you know, so that one's life wouldn't be controlled by the men, whether it was your father or whoever it might be, you know. And also to get out of Ireland. Couldn't wait to get out. Deliberately never looked behind me out the window on the plane.
I'm dancing with 7 bells, watching the pig of my star. See how the black moon fades.
You know, in the 80s, we weren't really seeing women who were doing something very much on their own terms. And then Sinead comes along, and I think she was 20 when Mandinka came out. And there is this young, shaved-headed, doe-eyed girl with this unbelievable, huge, gospel-y, part bardic voice. Somebody who was very much in charge of their own destiny, but just had this almost Amazonian one-offness about her. There was nobody you could compare her to.
Passion is coming right up from the earth. She's like a tree or something. She's coming straight from the human soul. We can all kind of feel what she's expressing. She's like expressing it from everybody else.
Since you've been gone,
in 1990, Sinead O'Connor's cover of the Prince song went to #1 across the globe. She became the year's most unlikely pop star.
It brought me, as a woman, enormous financial freedom. I didn't have to marry anyone for any reason other than I loved them. I didn't have to be with a fella at all for any reason I loved him. I could be with any kind of fella I liked. While the money was very freeing, the being a pop star all of a sudden and being expected to behave like one and all of that kind of stuff was very, very confusing, you know. Because it is required, if you're going to be a pop star, that you're not going to upset the boat about anything. If someone asks you what you think about, you know, Israel, you're going to say nothing and you're going to change the subject, you know what I mean? Or somebody asked you about abortion, you weren't going to answer the question, you were going to, you know what I mean, play the game as such, you know. And that wasn't really in my nature.
We have confidence in the victory of good over evil. Fight the real enemy.
It's a weird thing about paddy pop singers. You know, the last thing they want to do when they get in telly is talk about their new record or flog it. You know, they're going to go, and another thing, and this is wrong, and that. All of them. You know, they never shut the fuck up, you know.
I think that Ireland couldn't have been transformed without that sort of group of musicians. U2 and the Rats and Sinead O'Connor, my sister, and, you know, the earlier people, Rory Gallagher, and everybody else. And I think those people changed their country and their society for the better. And they had a lot of fun, you know, while they were doing it. You know, they made fun legal in Ireland. And for that alone, they should be celebrated.